The war against wisdom. Our silence is killing too many of our greatest minds, too many of our greatest freedoms, and it is revealing that we attack one another, whether that's black on black crime or black on anyone or white on anyone, Asian on anyone, any category of persons that are not billionaires or even for that matter millionaires. We tend to attack the weak or what we perceive to be the weak or what we know society and the status quo will let us get away with instead of attacking the true problem. And it's not because we've lost our strength, but because the world has found new ways to make us feel small. The truth is, there's a quiet war happening. Not one fought with weapons, but with distraction. A war designed to silence those who've lived long enough to see through the lies. They don't want wisdom anymore. They want noise. They don't want thinkers. They want followers. The world rewards distraction because distraction keeps people docile. And when you're busy scrolling, arguing, comparing, and consuming, you stop questioning. You stop remembering who you are. That is not by accident, but by design. The world doesn't just move fast, it moves loud. And the louder it gets, the more it drowns out the quiet voices of reason, truth, and experience. Because the system fears people who see clearly. It fears the ones who can't be hypnotized by the next trend or trapped by the next lie. You are not invisible. You are the very thing they hope that will stay silent, because your voice carries the truth that can wake others up. But look around, what do they feed us instead? They give us gadgets and games to keep our minds busy. They give us headlines and outrage to keep us divided. They give us false idols to keep us distracted from the real power that lives within us. They want you chasing toys instead of truth, comfort instead of clarity, attention instead of awareness. They don't want you to think clear and to see the transparency of their games. And if you stop long enough to think, to reflect, to build, they call you outdated, out of touch. But the real ones know being out of touch with illusion is the first step toward freedom. We live in a world that fears the mature mind because the mature mind doesn't just react, it reflects. It questions the game and demands the scoreboard. And that kind of awareness doesn't make profit, it makes power. It evens the score. So they keep you busy watching, busy working, busy worrying until your mind grows tired and your purpose goes quiet. That's how entire generations are tamed, not through force, but through focus, misplaced focus. But the wise are not meant to be tamed. A young man said this: stop living like you've already lost. Live for the future, not for what you used to be. Shedeur Sanders. And that means it isn't just for the young. It's for anyone who still has breath, still has fight, still has vision, because the world wants you living in your memories, not your mission. They want you replaying what was, not creating what can be. They want you feeling old, irrelevant, invisible, while they profit off your silence. But not anymore. You were built to lead, to build, to teach, to correct the course. You've already survived too much to act defeated now. Your wisdom is currency and the system knows it. That is why it keeps you distracted. Because if you ever remember your value, you will become unstoppable. So stop giving your energy to what steals it. Stop feeding the noise. Stop worshiping distraction. Success isn't measured by how entertained you are. It's measured by how awake you are. Why do you think the president said, F awake? Start focusing again, not on what they give you, but what you can give back. Not on the screens, but on the seeds, the ideas, the work, the truth that will outlive you. Rebuild your focus, sharpen your mind, guard your peace, because the greatest act of rebellion is a distracted world. The greatest act of rebellion in a distracted world is clarity. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs direction. It needs people who still remember how to think deeply, act intentionally, and give generously. It needs the wisdom you've been carrying around. You are not done. Speaking up to you elders, you are not defeated. You are being called from invisible to indispensable. That is not a slogan. That is a strategy. It's the shift from consuming what the world feeds you to creating what the world needs. So rise, speak, build, teach, lead. Live for the future, because the future still needs you. This war is psychological, not physical. This war isn't fought with guns. It's fought with algorithms, attention, and addiction. Instead of chains on your body, the world now uses chains on your mind. They control what you see, what you fear, what you chase. Every scroll, every trending topic, every headline is designed to steer your focus away from the truth and purpose. The result, people feel busy but empty, connected but unseen, informed but uninspired. That's by design. A distracted society doesn't build, it consumes. A distracted society does not earn, it gets stolen from. Just like our judicial, legislative, and executive branch, do you think that they are in there for your welfare or for their own? See, a tired mind doesn't resist, it obeys. The silence of the wise. Those who live long enough to recognize the patterns, to see the illusions, are now labeled irrelevant. You've noticed how society treats experience like it's outdated? That's intentional, because wisdom slows the game down. It questions, it analyzes, it exposes. When elders, thinkers, or community leaders start speaking the truth, especially truth that threatens the system of illusion, they're ignored, mocked, or silenced. That's why the message says they don't want wisdom, they want noise. They don't want thinkers, they want followers. That was by Rockefeller. Distraction is the new control. It is a weapon. Think about it. Every second your mind is consumed by meaningless noise, it's not building, teaching, or awakening. The modern system has replaced religion and tradition with consumerism, worship of products, trends, and influences. Those that don't give you anything but take from you. But those things can't feed your spirit or grow your people. They can only keep you occupied, while the real power consolidates quietly in the background. And when they're in the background, what do you think they're doing? Enriching themselves, and they're de-riching you. But we don't see it, because we no longer listen to the elders, and we're too busy scrolling and looking at foolishness.